Today I am making stairs to go into my tiny house. So the first thing I did was measure from the bottom of the door, which is about 23, but I only want to come up about 18 to give me plenty of clearance in here for the door to swing open, and then I'll just have a little step to go in to the floor level. I've been using a step stool, and then my old step was just trying to feel what is the correct height. This configuration is still too high for me. This here is 13, so that last jump into the house is a full 10 inches, and that's just too much. So I decided, since the 23 does not divide evenly into either the 2 steps or the 3 steps, I wanted to divide the 18 by 3. That comes out to 6 inches each. So they will be a little bit shorter steps, so it'll be easier to make the climb in. And the wood that I purchased is 7.5 wide, so my tread is going to be 7.5. They are 2x8s. They're pressure treated, and I am going to use that for my treads. I'll probably make it as long as this board is, these existing stairs, which pretty much matches up with the width of the door. But as you can see, I have been using them shifted to the right since this door swings open that way. And when I stand on the step, I need to have room for that door to swing over. So it's just more comfortable for me to have it extend a little bit this way. So that will be fine for me. And then I'm going to use a piece of plywood, which is also pressure treated, and it's 3/4 inch thick. I will use that and cut that to be the stringer. And so I'll use the bottom for the stringer on one side, and then the opposite piece left over up at the top, flip it over, and it'll be the stringer on the other side. So if I make my cuts properly, they should equal out. I just sketched out what I've got here. So the top step is going to be at 18 inches, and dividing by 3, I'm going to get 6-inch stairs each one. So my riser is 6. Tread, which is called the run, that's going to be 7.5, because those are the 2x8s that I purchased. And I am not going to have an overhang or a lip at the front. I'll just cut them square. So here's what the side piece will look like. Of course, this is looking straight on, and then this is looking at the side. But I wanted to put them under it. This is how I make sure my mind has the right pieces together before I go cutting things. So if this is 18 inches at the top, of course, the thickness is going to be 1.5 inches. So you subtract 18 minus 1.5 inches thick, and that's going to give you 16.5. So this top piece is going to be 16.5 here. Then you go down to the first step, which is going to be a total height of 12. Subtract the thickness brings you to 10.5. So we've got 16.5, 10.5, and of course you subtract another riser of 6, you get 4.5. So 4.5 riser here, 10.5 total to there, 16.5 total to there. I also measured what my approximate width will be, and that is the 3 treads side by side. 7.5 times 3 is going to be 22.5 inches. That's how deep this stairwell is going to be. They're going to be rather shallow, and that's okay because my deck is not very large. So here's my piece of plywood that I'm going to use for the side piece of the stairs. So I need to cut the risers into that. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I have a perfectly square edge to start with. And so for that, I'm going to use my carpenter square. I did check that is a square corner. So that's where I'm going to start my measurements. So I'm going to go up the 16.5 on this side and then score that and go across 7.5 and then score down and go this way. Now this corner also is square. I already checked it off camera. So now I'm going to mark the risers and mark them out where I'm going to cut. I transferred those numbers onto the board. So there's the top step, first drop, second step, second drop, third step, down to the little end. So it's a short here because 4.5 plus the thickness of the board on top for the tread will be 1.5, so that'll be 6. And then from each one after, it's 6. So that will work. I don't know if you can see the cutting lines. And so, of course, what I cut out will also be the same shape. So I will have 2 out of the same board. So I cut it out, and this is the stair tread that I'm going to use. And so what I did is it left me the opposite on this side, but the board was bigger and longer than I needed. So I take the good one and I lay it down on top of the existing board and match up like that so that the existing cut that I want is matched up, butt to butt here, the risers match, and then I just ran a line down the end here because this is scrap, and across the bottom here like that and like that. So now I'm going to cut that out, and then I will have 2 that match. I took the stringers that were then equal after I cut them out of the board, made them identical. One side of the board can be left, one side can be right. First thing I did was stand up the 2 stringers to see how wide I wanted them. I took a couple of 2x4s and I put them under the front and recessed a little bit back so that I could have a toe kick there. So I put a 2x4 across the bottom to hold that riser to this riser at the bottom side. At the back, I did the same thing, and of course that 2x4 is pressure treated, and the 2x4 in the front are the same length, and they're at the bottom to hold these risers vertically straight. And then I took the first step, measured in 7 inches, and installed the screws part way. Then I lined it up with this riser so that I could screw directly straight in. And once that side was attached, then I came over here. So I just got a 3-foot clamp and I pulled it in and sank those screws in first, holding this flush against the back there. And then I pushed this side back against there, made sure this measurement from this riser across the front, that measurement equals the back measurement. So I knew it was square. And now all I have to do is take off this clamp. So I just wanted to give you a view from back here. This is the back side standing up of the stairs. And then here's the side. This is the underside, And this is the front end, and then up at the top is back there. So this is what supports the legs of it. This is plywood, and this is a raw edge, and this is going to be down on my deck. So granted, it is going to absorb water. So what I'm going to do is clear coat that with Master Supreme. It is an amazing product. I'll run it down the end grain here to prevent wicking, so that water doesn't wick up in here. Although all of this, including the plywood, is made from pressure treated lumber. Hi, Zuki, sweetheart. Hi, sweetheart. You my pretty boy. All right, what I did for these crossbar supports, they're really to keep everything square. It's not so much to support the weight. So what I did was, if you can see, I recessed it off of the deck so it's elevated. This part will not be sitting on the deck. So the only thing that's going to be touching the deck is this end and the end of that board. See how it's recessed up a little bit? That will give the structure support to the frame, but it will not be laying in the water, nor will it make an enclosed pool when the rain comes. Any water that gets in between the stairs and ends up under the stairs will have a chance to run out. And the finished product from the front angle. So now I'm going to move them into position. As you can see, I have them pushed over to the side because when the door swings open, I stand there. And they are finished. They work perfectly. They, when I open the door, you'll hear the dogs. Stay. So there's just, I don't know, 4 inches more of a little step up there. And another thing that I like about these stairs, because I only went with a 7.5 inch width, they are steeper because you can see my deck is only 8 feet by 8 feet. So I did not want these stairs to protrude into the usable area here. So there they are. I think they came out pretty darn good. I love the different stripe of the wood grain, and I purposely chose the more grain side to be facing up because I enjoy looking at the different patterns that God made right in the wood. So